Hey, what's good? If you have ever heard my voice, chances are you've heard that I am a proud American of Cuban, Dominican, and Puerto Rican descent. I'm doing research for a movie script that I'm writing. I wanted to watch this video with you from the Captivating History channel, and it's called Five Interesting Facts About the Taino and the Caribs. Before you get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. Yeah, five interesting facts about the Taino and Caribs. Caribbeans, you know? Yeah, so these are my people. These are the folks that Columbus bumped into back in the day. Let's go.
1492, Christopher Columbus arrived on an island he called La Hispaniola, known today as the Dominican Republic. He encountered two distinct groups of indigenous people, the Taino and the Caribs. Although their cultures shared similarities, evidence suggests these groups were enemies, with the Caribs frequently launching raids against the larger Taino population. Despite their historical significance, there's a lot we
Troublemakers.
don't know about these cultures. Keep watching to learn about 5 interesting mysteries of the Taino and the Caribs.
We here.
Number 1. The Caribs were exceptional seafarers. The Caribs were excellent navigators and seafarers and later
Hell of a
lent their
boat.
name to the Caribbean Sea. Because they traveled between the islands of the Caribbean, sea travel was an essential part of their lifestyle. They were known for the piraguas, large, swift dugout canoes capable of carrying multiple people and significant cargo over long distances. They were renowned for their ability to travel between the islands swiftly and efficiently, often navigating hundreds of miles across open water. Historical accounts suggest that they deeply understood the sea. However, unlike the Polynesians, who left behind detailed oral traditions and star maps, the Caribs and Taino did not have a written language to record their maritime knowledge. This lack of records has led to speculation about how they gained their seafaring skills. Some historians
Practice.
believe that the Caribs used a combination of environmental cues, such as the position of stars, the direction of waves, the behavior of birds, and the color of water to navigate. These methods, though plausible, are not well documented, and the specifics of how they were taught and passed down through generations remains a mystery. Did they have a sophisticated celestial navigation system similar to other ancient seafaring cultures? Or did they rely more on their intuition and experience? The answer is lost to time. However, we do know why the Caribs traveled. Their seafaring skill was for more than just fishing and trading. It also had a more aggressive purpose. Although the Caribs were exceptional fishermen, they were primarily known for raiding neighboring communities, particularly the Taino. These raids gave them a reputation as a warlike group, which is one of the reasons historians recognize them as distinct from other indigenous groups who speak the same language, such as the Taino. According to several historians, the Taino bore the brunt of the Caribs' raids, creating a feud between the two groups. Although the Carib
As they
people are
should.
more widely known for their seafaring skills, the Taino also have a history with the sea. Like the Caribs, they used handcrafted canoes to travel throughout the Caribbean. However, they gradually became land travelers and are now known more for their agricultural experience than their seafaring prowess. Number 2. The Taino played a ball game called bate. In addition to their agricultural expertise, the Taino were known for their rich culture and love of sports, particularly a ball game called bate. Bate was a game played in a rectangular court surrounded by stone monoliths. These
And you know
courts were
what's
often located
interesting?
in the
You know what's interesting is if you go into if you go to Mexico City, they talk about this too. Their museum. It's not of natural history, but something like that. There's a video on my channel where I went with one of my friends, but they played the same kind of game. So it's interesting to see, the Caribs and the Taino are playing the same kind of games that they were playing close to Mexico City. And look at that scary face that's on there.
of their villages. The game involved two teams trying to keep a rubber ball in play without using their hands. It has similarities to Mesoamerican ball games. Both Batey
Oh,
and
there you go.
Mesoamerican ball games involved a rubber ball. The ball consisted of tree sap and plant fibers, which were treated and fashioned into a bouncy, durable ball. The courts used in the games were also remarkably similar. Batey was played on a rectangular court, often surrounded by stone monoliths or standing stones, which marked the boundaries and possibly held spiritual significance.
And it goes to
Similarly,
show you,
Mesoamerican
like,
ball
we've
courts were
always been
rectangular and
attracted
bordered by
to,
stone walls,
you
sometimes
know,
featuring sloping sides where the ball could bounce.
sports and being
These courts
physical
were
and
central
doing
to community
things.
life, much like Batey courts were in Taino villages. Batey sounds like a simple ball game, but it was more than just a sport. To the Taino, it was a ceremonial event used to settle disputes, honor the gods, or predict the future. The Taino believed the outcome of the game reflected the will of the gods, so winning or losing could have significant consequences for the players and the community. The ball,
That
made
kind of
from the
still
sap of local
happens, and
trees,
that kind of still happens with professional athletes. Like, they wear the same kind of socks. Baseball players don't step on the foul line. You bounce the ball a certain amount of times before you shoot a free throw. You know, there's certain rituals that athletes will go through, just to keep a streak going. And sometimes it's as simple as just not changing their underwear. No judge, but it's nasty.
considered sacred. Not only was Batey a ceremonial game, but it was also a diplomatic tool. Different Taino communities often played friendly matches to strengthen alliances and maintain peace. It was a tool to encourage goodwill between neighboring tribes. It brought communities together and settled disputes. Its results reflected the god's will. Its cultural significance and the Taino people's passion for this game demonstrate the complexity of their society. Despite its importance, much about the game, such as its exact rules and scoring system, remains a mystery. Number 3. The
Huh.
Taino worshipped objects called zemis. The Taino had a complex society, and their religion is no different. Religion was an essential part of their culture, with the worship of
It
items called
still is.
zemis playing a central role in their spiritual life. Zemis were physical objects, often made of wood, stone, or clay, that were believed to house spirits or gods. The Taino revered these objects, believing they held the power to influence the world around them, including aspects of life such as weather, fertility, and health. These zemis were such a significant part of Taino society that they featured in the art, architecture, and even the culture's social structure. One of the key ways in which the Taino maintained their relationship with the zemis was through offerings. These offerings were vital in gaining favor from the spirits embodied in the zemis and ensuring the well-being of their communities. The Taino presented a variety of offerings, ranging from food items like cassava bread, fish, and fruit. They also presented sacred objects, such as tobacco, which they burned as incense during rituals.
Yeah, son.
Sometimes they even offered small, intricately crafted gold, bone, or stone objects, symbolizing their deep devotion and respect. The act of offering was more than just a simple gesture. It was a communal ritual led by the Behikes, the spiritual leaders who mediated between the people and the spiritual world. These ceremonies involved chanting, music, and dance, all performed to honor the zemis and seek their blessings. The offerings were an exchange. In return for their devotion, the Taino believed the zemis would provide protection, good harvests, and guidance. If a zemi accepted the offering, it was a positive sign, indicating that the community was in harmony with the spiritual forces. However, if the zemi rejected an offering, it could signal the need for deeper reflection or greater sacrifices, adding to the mystery surrounding these powerful spiritual entities. These offerings were such an essential part of the Taino people's lives that some sources speculate that many of their agricultural advancements resulted from the need for offerings. In other
Hmm.
words, the Taino might have worked so hard on their agriculture that they could continue sacrificing for the zemis. They are renowned for their agricultural innovations. They developed sophisticated farming techniques to sustain large communities across the Caribbean islands. One of their most notable innovations was the Kunuko system, a method of raised mound farming. By creating elevated plots of land, they could grow crops like cassava, maize, sweet potatoes, and beans. This technique was particularly effective in the Caribbean's tropical climate, helping to prevent soil erosion and retain moisture. The Taino people's agricultural practices were
Let's
sustainable
go
and
back.
resilient,
Hang on.
ensuring a stable food
I
supply
want to
for the people's
see.
climate, helping to prevent this of land. They could grow crops like cassava, maize, sweet potatoes, and beans.
Yeah.
This technique was particularly effective in the
Yeah, I wanted to see the technique.
One
There
of
we
their
go.
most notable innovations was the Kunuko system, a method of
Conuco.
raised mound farming. By creating elevated plots of land, they could grow crops like cassava, maize, sweet potatoes, and beans. This technique was particularly effective in the Caribbean's tropical climate, helping to prevent soil erosion and retain moisture. The Taino people's agricultural practices were sustainable and resilient, ensuring a stable food supply year-round.
Pay attention. Pay attention. Like, I understand we got a lot of people on this planet, but fighting against nature is only making it's only making the trip take longer. They've figured out how to farm. They figured out a system how to farm, and everybody ate.
Crops played a crucial role in Taino society. They were food for the community, offerings to the Zamis, and they created opportunities for trade between neighboring communities. We may never know if sacrifices were the reason for the agricultural expertise of the Taino, but presenting sacrifices to the Zamis was an essential part of their religion. Although we know of the significance of Zamis in Taino culture, much about their worship remains unclear. The rituals associated with Zamis, the exact nature of the spirits they embodied, and how these beliefs evolved over time are still mysteries. Among all the things we don't know about the Taino and the Caribs, their complex religious system may be one of the biggest mysteries. Number 4. The Caribs influenced our language. The Taino and Caribs were two distinct groups, and one of the things they had in common was the language they spoke,
Yep.
Arawakan. However, the Caribs language had
What'd you
notable
call it?
differences from the Taino language, despite being part of the Arawakan family.
Arawakan?
Had notable differences from the Arawakan. However,
Arawakan.
the Caribs language had notable differences from the Taino language, despite being part of the Arawakan family. One of the most fascinating aspects of their language is what scholars call gendered speech, meaning that men spoke one language and women spoke another. In Carib cultures, men and women spoke two different languages. The men conversed in a version of the Carib language, while the women spoke something closely related to the Taino language. This unique linguistic feature might have started because of the Caribs' practice of capturing Taino women during raids and integrating them into Carib society.
Whoa.
Because of their interaction with other Arawakan-speaking people, including Carib women, the other Arawakan languages heavily influenced the men's Carib language. Over time, this practice led to blending languages, with Carib men adopting many Taino words and phrases. This blending of words and phrases
First of which
made the
being
Carib
like, "Hey,
language
girl."
a melting pot of linguistic influences. This also reflects the complex relationship between the Taino and the Caribs. Today, the influence of the Caribs on our current-day language is still evident. Many words in Caribbean languages, including English, French, and Spanish, have roots in Carib or Taino words. For example, the word hurricane comes from the Taino word huracan, which was the name of a powerful storm
Huracan.
god. While there are dozens more examples, the list includes words like barbecue, canoe, hammock, mangrove, and potato.
All
Some
wonderful.
places have names derived from their
All
language, such as
wonderful
Haiti,
words.
Cuba, and Jamaica. Number 5. The Taino and Caribs have matrilineal societies. The final aspect of the Taino and Carib societies we'll cover in today's video may be one of the most intriguing aspects of their social structures. They were both matrilineal societies, where
Yeah.
lineage follows the mother's line rather than the father's. The inheritance of property, titles, and even
mean,
religious roles followed the
they
female
do
line,
almost all the
giving
work.
women a central role in the continuity of their family lines. Women held
When
significant
it
power
comes
and
to making
influence in these
kids,
societies,
boy, there's no
especially regarding family
competition.
matters and community leadership. Among the Taino, women could hold positions of power, such as caciques or chiefs. In Taino culture, these caciques were often responsible for the welfare and organization of their communities. The matrilineal system allowed women to play crucial roles in decision-making, such as choosing leaders and managing resources. This system strikes a fascinating contrast between the Taino and many Western cultures, which typically adhere to patrilineal societies. The Caribs also had a matrilineal system, although their social structure was more oriented toward warfare and raiding. Carib women were less politically influential than their Taino counterparts, but still played vital roles in their communities. They maintained cultural traditions and raised children. While we know that women were prominent in both societies, much about their roles and the exact nature of their influence remains a mystery. The matrilineal structure of these cultures
Sure are a lot
challenges
of
many
history
Western assumptions about gender roles in indigenous societies
mysteries
and
when it comes
offers
to
a
these folks.
fascinating glimpse into alternative forms of social organization.
All right, so that is a brief synopsis. 5 interesting facts, as a matter of fact, of the Taino and the Caribs. And I'm in. I mean, I understand when you're trying to figure things out, one tribe can very easily conflict with the other one. We're seeing it today. And then eventually what happens is we figure it out. We move forward. But historically, we have always had to do it together. And I think with folks that are in charge now, the way that they're doing it is really startling people. Everything is dramatized and everything is so fantasized and made bigger than it really is. But at the same time, you got folks that are the ones that are making the rules right now. Not a cool bunch. I don't think that they're, my opinion, I don't think that they're too worried about people that don't fit their mold, and it's very destructive and disruptive to where we will inevitably end up as a culture, as a human race, right? And so we have to be very careful with who we let be in charge. Simple fact that, like, the Taino people are, if you have Puerto Rican blood, chances are you come from the Tainos, and the Tainos were the ones that were here before when Columbus came and he took natives. Those are these folks. That's my people. And then what happened was they, in efforts to tame the land or to take over, however you want to call it, they just ravaged the people that were here, the Tainos, the Caribs, ravaged them. And then they found out that they went a little too deep. Now that we took over this land, we don't have anyone to help us tame this land. We don't have anyone to help us dig these holes and do all this stuff. And help is expensive. And so then that's why they decided to go make deals and steal and do all the things that they did to people of Africa. And there are folks that don't understand the trauma, generational trauma. If you research that, research what happens in history, and then you see what those things do to the human brain, and then therefore your brain and what you go through will then, scientists have learned that, like, things that I have gone through will go through, and my kid or kids will have some of that innately installed in them. So that's where, like fear of werewolves and scary stories and stuff like that. That's, if once you research that, you'll realize why that fits into that conversation. Anyway, all this to say, it's possible with the right leadership, Women, man, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. I am so thirsty for anyone who is going to make meaningful change, who is going to direct this country into a what we can be. We've done it before. The Caribs were showing us, the Tainos were showing us. They developed a system that was working with nature that then fed everyone. If we get to that point, I bet you, if we change our culture, I bet you, if we invest in our inner cities and these areas that need attention, I bet you, it gets good for everyone. We've seen it. Yeah, you might have a scuffle here and there between the Tainos and the Caribs. You might have that. But for the most part, all that stuff chills out. Crime goes away. The more you take care of your population, the more crime and all that silliness goes away. That's just a proven fact, and it's been proven time and time again. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with each and every one of your friends, and if you want to come hang out with me, watch videos while I work on creative projects, hit that subscribe button, and then change that little bell icon so it says all. That way, every time I come out with something new, you'll be alerted. Don't forget to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some dope gear, and with that, I'm